This is the RTX 5080 that I bought last month. I was previously using a 5070 Ti, which is a very powerful GPU in 2025. That makes you wonder, why did I spend $250 to upgrade my GPU? Well, first thing first, I had an opportunity to buy the 5080 under MSRP in Hong Kong. Secondly, the 5080 has 2 video decoders while there is only one on the 5070 Ti. This would definitely make a difference in my video editing experience when having multiple 10-bit footages in the timeline. The DaVinci Resolve is known to be very GPU intensive, so the extra CUDA cores on the 5080 are going to be useful for rendering the fusion effects as well. But aside from that, is the 5080 actually worth the extra $250? The RTX 5080 and 5070 Ti have the same GB203 chip and VRAM size, but the 5080 has 20% more CUDA and ray tracing cores, with higher memory bandwidth, so technically it should have at least 20% increase in game performance. However, I have benchmarked both GPUs in 8 different games at maximum settings with ray tracing on, if there's any, and the results actually surprised me. For the benchmarks, I'm using the i7 14700K and 48GB of DDR5 RAM running at 7200MHz CL34. Let's begin with 2 first-person shooter games that are less GPU intensive. In Counter-Strike 2, the 5080 manages to get 420 FPS on average in 1440p, which is 10.8% higher than the 5070 Ti. The 1% lows are basically identical. In Valorant, the 5080 achieves 530 FPS on average while the 5070 Ti got 484. That's a 9.5% increase, and the 1% lows of the 5080 is a bit higher as well. 10% difference in FPS games is actually not bad, considering how they are mostly bottlenecked by the CPU. Moving on to games that are more GPU demanding. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, the RTX 5080 gets 151 FPS on average in native 1440p, which is 9.4% higher than the 5070 Ti. Somehow their frame rates are pretty similar with DLSS quality enabled. I'm not sure why the FPS increase on the 5080 is so little with DLSS. I ran the benchmark several times and the results were the same. In Cyberpunk 2077, the 5080 is barely enough for smooth 60fps gameplay. Still, it is 17.6% ahead of the 5070 Ti in 1440p. The 1% lows don't have massive dips, so that's good for the overall smoothness. Even if that's not smooth enough for you, this game supports DLSS multi-frame generation, which gets you up to 285 FPS with the 5080. Personally, the DLSS quality without frame gen is smooth enough, or you can simply just turn ray tracing off, but I think it is a crime not to use ray tracing on these high-end NVIDIA cards. But of course, it's up to you. In F124, the 5080 is 20% ahead of the 5070 Ti in native 1440p, running at 114 FPS on average. Once again, when you enable DLSS and multi-frame gen, it gets you above 200 FPS easily. In Forza Horizon 5, the 5080 is only 9% ahead in native 1440p. That's disappointing considering how this game is GPU intensive with ray tracing. Technically, that extra 20% of CUDA and RT cores should be giving more performance than that, but unfortunately, it's not. The extra cores are just sitting there. In GTA 5 Enhanced, the 5080 is 5% ahead of the 5070 Ti. Yeah, you heard me right, 5. However, it's a different story from Forza Horizon 5 because both GPUs aren't fully utilized in my benchmark test for GTA 5. That means it's my CPU bottlenecking the system instead of the GPU. Anyways, this game also supports multi-frame gen and it can get you above 400 FPS with the 5080. But I'm not really sure who needs to play GTA 5 in such frame rate. In Shadow of Tomb Raider, The 5080 gets 163 FPS on average in native 1440p. That's actually 23.5% increase in performance compared to the 5070 Ti. I did not expect that at all, but surprises are always better than disappointments, right? Anyways, this game doesn't support frame gen, but you can still get 204 FPS with DLSS quality. Now that's all the benchmarks I have run on both GPUs. Even though there are noticeable performance differences between the two GPUs, I don't think the 5080 is worth the extra $250. At MSRP, the RTX 5080 cost 33% more than the 5070 Ti, and in return you get at most 23.5% performance gain. Don't forget that the price difference drops below 10% in some games, like Forza Horizon 5. That doesn't sound like a good price to performance ratio to me. So if you're just gonna game and it's hard for you to decide between the two options, just go with the 5070 Ti. It offers a much better price to performance ratio. The RX 9070 XT from AMD is also a solid option if you don't play games with ray tracing on. Let me know in the comments which GPU would you rather get at MSRP. I mean, 33% increase in price is acceptable if the 5080 had the same GPU chip with more VRAM, but unfortunately it doesn't. It only has 16GB of VRAM, same as the 5070 Ti. I mean, at this point the 5070 Ti is basically a 5080 with 1/5 of its GPU chip disabled. In gaming, the actual performance difference is usually smaller than 20%, as you can see in the benchmarks. There is no obvious difference in gaming experience between the two GPUs, unless you're monitoring your FPS 24/7, which nobody does. I don't see a reason why you should buy the 5080 if you're not gonna use the extra video decoder for video editing or the extra CUDA cores for rendering. Besides, there's rumors of the 50 series supercards having more VRAM, then why don't they just do that on the 5080 in the beginning? I'm just confused with NVIDIA's strategies. Alright, I hope you have found this video helpful. Don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing before you watch this video of me building a cableless PC for my friend.